This is not what God commands. You know what I'm saying? Where in the Quran, it's all commands. It's not really, basically all those stories have some sort of command in them, mostly. You know what I'm saying? You gotta make sure you don't confuse the people that like to corrupt the Bible with this. Oh, the Bible, you know, like I said, the Bible says all kinds of stuff that are actions of men that aren't supported by God. That's something to keep in mind too. Don't let that get by you. Just thought I'd add that. Mike's up.
Yeah, if you're still here. A couple things. I guess I should point out the most important first. This is the true danger of heresies, Christian and near Christian heresies like Islam, things like that, in that they put up a lot of straw men and they introduce a lot of concepts, religious concepts incorrectly, and they bury you in them in such that, you know, a lot of times they make it so that a person has to be a skeptic to get out of it. And so they're truly distrustful of things once they come out of it. Like what I mean is when I said that it's men writing inspired, as opposed to the Quran, which is the speech directly of God. I mean point of view differences. You know, you take for instance Jesus, for instance. Jews think that the coming of the Messiah means that basically the military Messiah, he's going to come and he's going to take over the world and they're going to rule as in govern. When the actual coming of the Messiah was something much more important. Much more important. He's to deliver salvation to everybody, which is higher and better, but you have point of view differences, that type of thing. That's what I mean. The same message can, your interpretation of it can change a good deal depending on your point of view. That's what I was pointing at. You mentioned Noah's Ark and things like that. That's kind of an example. Well, yeah, it's probably because I am. That's an example of what I mean when people are looking for something to, you know, that type of story that far away, say, well, it's impossible. Well, no, not really. Not really. But that far away, it's also really not provable. How to prove it either way? You know, we've seen evidence that looks like there was something like a flood, but how could you know that? How could you know that? Now, what we can know, which is actually more important, and I do this all the time, we do know that the resurrection happened. The crucifixion and the resurrection happened. When you examine about every scientific historical method that they use to determine anything else that we know from history. We know that. That's a higher and better claim. It's a more important claim. You know, but the same people, no, yes we do. Yes we do, because we know that it happened. We know that Jesus was crucified. We know that from Christian records and Jewish records and other records. We know that he was crucified. Yes, we know that. Yes, and we know that he was resurrected. We know that from our witness testimony. We have testimony of people who know him. We have testimony of people who knew his family members. Yeah, yes, testimony. John knew him. James was his brother. Paul knew his family. We know these things. Yes, we know that. Peter knew him. Yeah, Josephus was a Jew, but they knew it. They spoke of it. Not to mention, you have other historians speaking about tangent events. You know, people trying to explain a 3-hour eclipse. You know, what was it? How did it happen? We know that. You know, see, with the Bible, what you have is a public document. You see, let's assume that, like I say, you're a agnostic right now, so you don't believe in anything. Okay, so let's just not consider divine inspiration. Okay, I mean you can and you should, but let's not consider that for the point. The Bible still has historical value. The Bible still puts events in their proper place and time. We know that. Okay, and when you consider though, well, that's because they changed standards. Because the Bible still puts events in their proper place and time. Okay. If you know that the Bible puts events in their proper place in their proper time, then you look at the events contained therein. Okay. Well, what they point to is a person who appeared, claimed to be God, demonstrated power over life and death, predicted his death, and was killed by professional executioners, and then came back to life. And all that was public. And what you have in the Bible is the witness of many different people, all telling you the same story from their own point of view. That's what you have. You have a story from Mark, you have a story from John, you have a story from Luke, a story from Matthew, you have Acts of the Apostles, you have Paul, Peter, Jude, James, and I'm missing somebody else. You have lots of different testimonies from the same people. No, you don't. No, you don't, cuz. You have the Quran, the oldest manuscript is 200 years after the fact, and then you have the hadith that were collected 200, what Bukhari was 250 years after Muhammad, something like that. Plus, it's all one person. You see, what Jesus was, and I apologize for being long-winded, but what you have with Jesus, he had a public ministry. We know that from public records. We have a public execution that was carried out by professional executioners. That is important. We have a public tomb that was filled in a public tomb that was later empty. And then we have multiple witnesses. Some, you got the disciples, you got Paul, you got 500. So we got at least about 550 witnesses. And then we have the written testimony of people who saw him, disciples, a couple family members, people who did not know him were disinterested. And then we have these people who were killed because of it, because it was illegal to claim these things. Yet they claimed them anyway. Not to mention that the Bible records that before Jesus' execution, the disciples were afraid. They all fled to save their lives. And then after his resurrection, they were suddenly carved, made of stone, speaking truth to power, not afraid of anything. So that's the record you have, and it's public. I said all of that to contrast it with the Quran in the sense that it's public. It's multiple witnesses coming from multiple directions, telling you the same thing. You see, if you're agnostic as you claim to be, meaning that you're not going to look at a book and say, oh, in this verse it said a duck, in that verse it said the duck. That's different. See, that's a contradiction. See, you're not trying to look at it like that. If you're not trying to look at it like that, you have to realize you got 4 people. You got 4 gospels all telling you the same story from different point of view. Everybody telling you what they saw. And then you say, well, if this really did happen, what would it be like? What would it look like if I had somebody to die, claim to be God, die, and then come back? What would it look like? Think about it. If you saw a guy do that, well, wouldn't wouldn't everybody just stop when they saw him? I mean, wouldn't everybody be talking about it? Would some people be convinced that he's God? I mean, people still worship Muhammad now. He didn't have a single miracle. This guy had a bunch of miracles. People saw him die, and people saw him alive. 5 or 6 days later. What gives? People would do that. People that knew him, they once would have been afraid. After that, they wouldn't have been afraid of death anymore. It's everything that you have, it happened, and all of the ripples that something like that would have caused, we see them in history. And people who don't want to do that, they shift their standard because of what it is. And understandably, because to understand that is to be Christian. I'm sorry, I ran long-winded about it, but it was a loaded question. I apologize. But to quote Zach and I, hope it answers the question.
Okay, there's one point that I'd like to make about Noah's Ark. Yeah, we understand there are a lot of species on the face of the planet, but did you know that 75% of them live in the ocean? So that only leaves 25% of them that they had to put on the Ark. And when you look at the dimensions of the Ark, they have built a replica of the Ark here in the United States in the state of Kentucky. So you can actually go and see this now. And all he needed was, and it wasn't just 2 of every kind. It was 7 of some, 5 of some, and then 2 of others. But when you get the young in there and not the fully grown ones in there, and when you look at the size of all the species that you're wanting to talk about, everybody wants to say, okay, well, it had this many species in it, but they're not looking at the size of the species. We're talking spiders, gnats, flies, the insect world had a lot. Whereas the larger species did not have that many. And what they found was everything was able to fit on this ark pretty easily with room to spare. And the work that they have done to actually find the ark has led them to a lot of different places, and they've even found the stones that used to hold the ark from rolling over. There were stones on ropes that hung way down into the water that kept the ark from rolling over when the waves got really big. They found those stones. There's an incredible amount of that online that you can find. And the textual integrity of the Bible, I posted it right in here. You can go check all that stuff. I mean, don't take my word for it. Do your research. Go look. Mike Free.
Okay, so thank you. But first, about being an agnostic, because there were some questions about agnosticism. There are different kinds of agnosticism. I'm an agnostic atheist. So some agnostics says just, I don't know. Just saying I don't know whether there is a God or not is being an agnostic. And a weak atheist, yes, or negative atheist. Anyway, or some people are theoretical agnostics and they say we cannot know. Not just we don't know, but we cannot know. So I don't say that we cannot know whether there is a God or not. I'm just saying that I don't know, So there are some arguments for the existence of God, fine-tuning and, cosmological, whatever. There are some arguments, and there are some arguments for the, not non-existence of God, like the problem of evil. I'm saying I don't know. I don't know if there is a God or not. What I want to say is, and I will give the mic, but what I want to say, Are you one of the? I don't know. Yeah, of course, I don't know. I don't know if there's a God or not. Yes, and I don't know if there is a God or not. Plus, I don't know. Given that there is a God, is that I don't know whether that God is Allah or Jesus or Brahma or Vishnu or whatever. Right? I don't know. Anyway, from a person who looks at these things from outside, all the things you say about Bible and Christianity, Muslims say very, very similar things about Quran and Islam. They have their own miracles. They have their own evidence, so-called evidence. I am making, air quotes right now, from Quran. They have their mathematical proofs, for example, from Quran, like the number of
hold on, please. Listen, if the Muslims, they have a proof, those can be proved if they are, but they don't. Like what mathematics proof? You can go and buy my books and you can read them. All those miracles the Muslims they scream, it's nothing but a scam. The Muslims, they love to lie, and none of their claims is true. Hold on, I'm just stopping you because I want to make a comment. You see, I let you speak, all of you, one after one, and I'm just listening. Can't you have a patient? When you say the Muslims have a proof, it's mean you are convinced that they do. Are you? Costa, are you convinced that the Muslims have a proof? So why you are mentioning those proofs if they are not proofs? You said the Muslims, they have miracles. Do they? They don't. Even the Quran confirmed that Muhammad, Allah, he never sent a miracle to Muhammad. Anyway, we don't want to waste our time. You don't want to believe, it's up to you. However, Bible is not a book telling you details about how things happen exactly. Just to make it simple for you. When God, he says, let be light, and it was. When he said that, what is the story saying that God created the whole world in 6 days? Do you think if God, he wanted to describe for us everything he did, he need millions of books? Do you think really it was that simple? That's it, like it was 6 days and etc. So the Bible is not really presenting for us details of the creation as much it is the source of the creation. Who is the one who made everything in a simple way? Remember, the Bible speaks to all generation, all kinds of people who they are living thousands of years ago and people who they are living today. So the Bible did not go in details about anything. Like when we say that Jesus, he made the blind see. For someone to make a blind see, he have to study books, he have to make books, he have to be, how you can do that? When that's when he created eyes for him. It's a new creation. The guy is born as a blind. So the Bible does not really give details, and it's not meant to. For the details will be more than what God want to say to us. The intention of the book is to teach you how you can be a follower of the true God and how you can be a person who deserves to be with God. Otherwise, the rest is nothing really but let us say, a frame of information just to tell you about God, what he did. Who cares? He can leave. I'm not going to waste my time about, he's just repeating himself. You see, the problem is some people, they think that the Bible is giving us details. The Bible does not. When we say God, he created the whole world in 6 days, in the Old Testament, it says that a day for God is equal to 1,000 of our time. But it was not really metaphorical. It's just to tell you that God is out of our time. What is day for us, what is day for God is like 1,000 years for us. But doesn't mean it's really 1,000 years. Actually, I believe that there's no time for God. You know, God is eternal, so there's no time. And even science prove if you change location, even a human being, if you take him to a different galaxy, he might live a lot longer, or maybe a lot shorter. You know what I mean? So changing your location can change your age. Time is relative, correct. Now, the Bible is making it clear that time to God is mean nothing. So when God, he says 6 days, is that really 6 days? It's a simple story about the creation of God to tell us that I am the one who created everything for you. I am the one who presented everything for you. But it's not really about giving details step by step. Otherwise, the Bible will not be a few hundred pages, it's going to be a few million pages. Or a few million books, actually. To describe how mosquito is made, you need a lot of books just for a mosquito. So imagine if God were to write for us everything he created, how he made it. Same time, as long as the atheists, they don't believe in God unless they can see God. Well, how they believe in science when they don't see science? Like as an example, they say the Big Bang. Nobody witnessed it, nobody was there, and there's no proof of it. It's a theory. So how come you believe in something you never saw, you never witnessed, and you cannot prove? And you are asking the Christian for the same thing. Katizo, you go, you come back, you change your name. I don't care. You know, you wanna just to say stupid things, it's up to you. Fiction is a fiction, and science is a fiction too. All the science you see today, it was a fiction one day. Guys, anyone watch the old movies about the war space? About going to the moon, etc. But this is before they go to the moon. Is that correct? Long before they go to the moon, it was a fiction. Fiction is science. Actually, one of the sources of science is fictions. You imagine something and you try to work to make it happen. It's a fiction. And by time, the fiction either is going to be real or is going to stay fiction. And if you believe in fiction, the fiction will become real anyway. Like, you know, when an atheist, he believes in the Big Bang. But it's a fiction. Never witnessed, never saw, no proof of it. It's a fiction, but he believes in it, and he teaches it in schools. And he tried to enforce his ideas on us. Very simple question for the atheist. There's nobody can answer. They say that the original of life was was one cell, something like this. An accident happened, and that cell started developing itself. That's wonderful. How the cell was able to come to an idea that I can make a male and female? How the cell was able to develop a heart and a kidney and this complicated system and nerves and the eye and how the eye works. The cell should draw a map for an eye and took her millions of years to make it happen. It's a stupid. The cell decide to draw a vagina and the penis and decide how the vagina look like and how the penis look like. Do you know those two parts, how many things come as a part of their functioning? It's amazing how the cell can do that. Can you know, a human being now, he have his whole brain, whole computers, whole laboratory, and they cannot make a penis. Go make one. If the stupid cell took it 1 billion years to make a penis, why you cannot make it today with all the science you have? Make an eye. I want to see the science make an eye. Science is nothing but a fiction and mixed with some facts. Not all of them they are facts. If you go to a doctor and you are sick, the doctor will give you a prescription saying this medicine might cause a bleeding, heart attack, nerve problem, getting dizzy, blah 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 blah. Like, hold on, this is science. The science to help me in one thing will create 1 million problem. There's no science. Honest to God, guys, if I play for you the videos of those commercials, I'm sure you heard them. They're scary. The guy have a problem in his back, and then you give him medicine, and this medicine might kill him, might cause a brain damage, might cause a brain bleeding, might cause nose whatever, might cause allergy, might cause. So where is the science? Why the science cannot give a medicine for every disease which is fit perfectly without making side effect? The problem is that science is nothing but a practice of trying. You know what I mean? They try on you the same as if you are a mice. And if this medicine work, it work, but in fact this medicine will cause a lot of problem too. Where is the science of medicine? There's no science. It is a science of a practice. They try it. They keep trying. They go in the laboratory. They keep trying. Let us add this. Let us take this. Let us do this. And then, oh, it's working. Here we go. That is science. But this is not science. This is the science of a practice. Science, supposed to be, is a science of developing something from nothing. Because remember, those are atheists who don't believe in God. Science is to bring some dust, some whatever, and you mix it together with something and you make a human being. I want to see that. Until now is nothing but a science of numbers and mathematics based on practice, like how we can fly. But the human still cannot fly. He uses a machine to fly. He cannot fly. Can you make me have wings? That will be science. Because we are, remember, they are talking about the science of developing the human being or a creature. I want to see a goat can speak. Why the science cannot make a goat speak? What happened? My phone can speak to me, a goat cannot. So the science is kind of, like kind of, let's say, big box full of the practice of mankind for thousands of years, which means the experience of a human being. From that experience, we developed a new experience, or let us say a new understanding. That's what they call it today, science. But science really does not exist. It is nothing but a practice. Until now, there's a disease killing millions of people every year. AIDS, cancer, you name it. And this science and disability. I will believe in science when science can make us live forever. I will believe in science when science can make me stay 20 years and never grow. Which means I will never die. If you can do that, then we will forget about God, no problem. Let us see if you can do it. Keep trying. It's a joke. Let us see what Cole want to say. Yeah, science is kind of illusion of believing in something based on practice, and you think it's a fact. Before I give the mic to Cole, I will give you an example. I believe that time will come, and the internet will go beyond imagination. Like right now, the internet is really nothing compared to what's going to happen in the future. So if I say something today, And I predict that time will come and people, they will be able to eat through the internet. It sounds crazy, right? And hard to believe. And then that thing happened. But today somebody proving me that this is impossible. So which one of them is going to be the science? The science will happen, or the science proving will not happen? The logic today, it says that will not happen. It cannot happen. Because this is hard to comprehend. Same as 100 years ago. If we say to them internet, people will laugh at you. Because it's hard to comprehend. So what people try to understand about God, about earth, about what's happening around them, is about how they can and what they can comprehend. Anything they cannot comprehend, they reject. Few hundred years ago, 100 years ago maybe, there was no radio. And then if you say to somebody, there's somebody speaking in New York, you can hear him in China, he will laugh at you. Because at that time it's impossible to comprehend. Not because there's no waves. The waves exist. But we did not discover it. So, did the science make the waves? No. Did the science discover the waves? Yes. So what the science do, the science discover things based on practice or sometimes like accidents. But that science is changing. It is what is known today, it might be, or to be a fact, it might be wrong tomorrow. Like, you know, they told us for all the time when I was in school that Einstein, when he saw the apple fell down, sorry, not Einstein, Newton, right? When he saw the apple coming down, he discovered the gravity. And since then, they are teaching us anything big will grab anything small. And then after how many years, they found out that is not true. That if an item is so small, the big thing will not grab it because the mass of the thing it's very light. That's why you see always dust flying in the wind. If you go in the basement and there's a light of the sun coming through the window, you will see how the air is full of things is flying. Like, what is that? Why are they coming down? Because they are so small. The earth isn't grabbing them. But if you jump from the second floor right away, the earth will grab you. So for a long time, they were teaching that anything fell from above will go down to the earth because the earth is big, you are small. And then they found that this is not true. So let us see what they will find not true of the science tomorrow. I don't believe in science as let us say as a fact as much I believe in it as a practice. As simple as that. The same as a doctor. Doctor, he practiced medicine on you. It works. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. He might kill you. You might die. And many people, they die because of the science they claim. Because they practice things on you like a mice. You're Michael.
Yeah. You know, I don't really have an issue with science. I mean, science has made a lot of people's lives better. You know, things like being able to cure diseases that we couldn't once cure, stuff like that. You know, those things are good. It lengthens our lifespans and things like that. That's good. The issue I have is that when people try to use it to replace God, that's one issue. A couple of things. One, they don't really have a mechanism to deal with the miracle. You know, when we're talking about religion, especially in the case of Christianity, we're talking about things that we know are miracles. You know, you couldn't explain them scientifically. At least most of them you couldn't explain them scientifically because they're miracles. That's the point. that's the point of it. You know, so really, the science isn't really the issue. It's the skepticism. You know, and that's really the issue. And you know, like with this last guy, as I was explaining to him, you know, people, they'll have one set of standards when they're looking at things, I'll just say non-religious, when they're looking at secular things, like when they're examining history, as I was explaining to Cut Side, whatever his name is. But when I mentioned, the resurrection actually happened, well, suddenly there's a new set of standards. There's a new set of standards. The same thing that was good enough, to prove that King Tut was a pharaoh in Egypt, or that Alexander the Great lived, or anything like that, Julius Caesar, or that standard, that's not good enough for the resurrection to him. He said, but that's what I mean, the changing in standards. When issues of faith come into play, their skepticism outweighs, their scientific or scholastic discipline. That's the issue. Well, a minor issue. The real problem is just that he's a skeptic, and that along this line, the people who don't believe in it, they are the ones that make a leap of faith, so to speak, because it requires a leap of faith to not believe it. It's like the Muslims, for instance, and CP was speaking about earlier. No, it wasn't earlier today. It was a video I was watching. In any event, talking about the crucifixion of Jesus, and that Allah made somebody else to look just like Jesus. Well, in order for that to be possible, everybody that knew him had to not be able to recognize him, including his mother. It takes a leap of faith to believe that. Likewise, all of these people, all of these apostles who were killed, knew Jesus when he lived, saw him die, and then said that they saw him alive after his death, and were executed for that. These people, you have to accept that these people are lying, that they died sticking to a lie that they knew was a lie. It unrealistic, and it's a complete shifting of standards, But the real issue that I had here is the threat, the real problem with stuff like Islam. So you get a guy like him, he probably was born into Islam, probably migrated to the West, someplace where he was able to, examine other ideas freely, without fear of being killed. But he gets buried under this mountain of lies and religious claims with no backing. All the so-called miracles of Muhammad that don't have any evidence even in Islamic sources. All of this, well, the Quran itself, all the claims that it makes, inconsistent, inconsistencies which he's really not, well, I can't say he's not free, but he's been influenced to overlook. Lots of lies and such have been made to cover them up. And so much stuff that he has to aggressively disbelieve in. So by the time he digs himself out from under that mountain, he's just so skeptical of anything like that, But still, the goal has been accomplished. The goal of Satan has been accomplished. He's not looking at the truth. The fact is, all these so-called, remember when he said that Islam had these claims too? Islam claimed these miracles and things like that. But now, really, it doesn't. And the claims that Islam does make cannot be supported even within Islam. It's self-contradictory. Quran contradictory with itself, the Hadith contradictory with itself and with the Quran. But when he comes out of that, it serves to put up kind of a smoke screen, from what we're trying to do, from the actual truth and facts and doctrine in Christianity, which can support itself, but you have to look at it. That's really the fear, that's really the issue with the false prophets, such as Muhammad. It leads people away from the truth. So with this guy, you have, out of the frying pan into the fire, so to speak. I suppose I guess it's good that he's not Muslim, because at least he's not blowing people up and, attacking people on Ramadan and such. But still, there's one lie he doesn't believe in, but still doesn't know the truth yet. And from point of view of his salvation, it's not enough for him to not believe in the lie. He has to know the truth. And that's the thing, which is what I was going to point out to him. But he left. One, all these claims that Islam has, those are false claims. But they give him so many lies, they aim so many lies at him, that by the time he shuts down their lies, he's not open to the truth anymore. That's the real issue. And that's what I would invite him to, again, examine the resurrection, and he will see that it holds up. And to be honest, that's really the only thing that matters. The one that we serve has power over death, and will raise us up again, and has proven that he can do that. That's the real issue. And this other stuff, like you mentioned in Noah's Ark and other stuff like that, those are all lesser points, really debaters' tricks, so to speak. Questioning things to a degree that they don't question the science. Like they talk about the evolution, Big Bang, as CP was mentioning. In order to buy into that, you still have to accept that at some point, life that dead matter just came to life on its own. At the end of the day, they still tell you that something, everything comes from nothing. Some degree. Well, yeah, maybe I don't want to get into it. That's not really what I was trying to say, and not really the point I want to harp on. My point is that those things are distractions. That's my point. That's my point. And people use them as a distraction, and people bury their own religious perspectives in them. When they really don't. They really don't. They really. Well, I'll cut myself off right there. I've gone on long enough. SR, your mic.
Mic check. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are in the world. I want to say assalamu alaikum to all my Muslim brothers and sisters in the room. I hope that everyone is having a wonderful Ramadan. I hope that everybody has gorged themselves on what we're supposed to be considered fasting during this time. And I hope that some of my Muslim brothers and sisters have jihadied their way into the West or wherever they happen to be, and have killed infidels as we are supposed to do according to our great prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, so that way we can all live in a perfect utopia full of Sharia and much, much misery the world over. I don't know why, since the conversation is speaking about science, I don't know why no one has not marveled at the Islamic science with all due reverence. I don't understand why the world does not agree with the mighty Allah that says that Allah has placed on the earth mountains firm, lest the earth should shake with us. Clearly, mountains are the reason why we do not have earthquakes. This is scientifically proven. If you ask any scientist that knows science and is an expert in science, they will agree that such things are possible, and mountains are placed like nails from rolling up in a strong breeze. At the fig and olive, I speak the truth and only the truth. Yes, I also would like to point out that Islamic science is totally in line with creation. For example, humankind has been created, scientifically proven so, as a matter of fact, by tops that are experts in science. And they conclude that humans were created from a blood clot. It started from being a sperm cell inside of the woman for 40 days, and it's scientifically proven that this is the case. Anyone that disagrees with me is an infidel and is of the hellfires for all eternity, and anal flags and anal chains, and yes, and all of that. So I would hope that during this month of Ramadan, that everyone would consider the science of the Quran and Almighty Allah. Allah is all powerful. He's not quite so powerful. Well, actually, Allah is they, because Allah is, there's at least two Allahs in the Quran. And there's a kind of Allah, so that means he's a species. Because we're speaking about science, the species of Allah is a self-replicating shin cell. And yes, yes, I am. Thank you for noticing. I said my Bismillah over the pork, so it's halal pork, just so you know. And I do appreciate the fact that you are taking that into consideration, but also please make sure to know that Islamic science is verifiably proven, and subhanallah. Thank you very much.
All right, well, thank you very much. Guys, I really apologize. I can't stay longer. I am almost sleepy in my chair. Like a grandfather who is, this is what my grandfather used to do. I'm really tired. I did not sleep yesterday very well, and I have a lot of work to do in the morning too. So I want to say thank you. We are already online for 9 hours. And those who are on YouTube, thank you for being with us. Don't forget to subscribe. And I hope the sound and the quality of the picture is better than before. And all of you have a good time. The video, the one I was talking about, yeah, actually, you see what happened, my computer crashed, and that's why I stopped working. I ordered a computer, and I just received it yesterday, and I worked all night to set it up. And still I have not done really. I have a lot of files to move because this computer is crushed. And each time I open it, it goes down, and I have to move the file from here to there. It's like stealing files, because it's, I don't know what to do. Anyway, we'll see. But yeah, we will finish this thing, and people will love it. Anyway, tomorrow I will try to open again. Remember, tomorrow is Friday, right? So usually we open Friday. I will open tomorrow, maybe a little bit late, so I can give it more time to work on my computer. Until we see you tomorrow, I say, may the Lord bless you. And you want to be a believer or not, you want to be an atheist or not, trust me, for your security and for your best is to accept the teaching of the Messiah. Because everyone else he teach nothing but evil. Even those who claim that they are open-minded, peaceful, go and see what they do with the Trump. They start burning banks, burning cars, but yet they are atheists. Violence has nothing to do with believing with God. If the God you believe in is a God of violence, you are a violent person. Our Lord, the Messiah, is the Lord of peace. He is the one who says, love your enemy. If you can come with better teaching than this teaching, please, we will follow you too. But you cannot. So I say, for your safety, for your security, even for your future and your children's future, the Messiah, he brings nothing but peace and love to this earth. And this is what the earth today needs most. More than money, more than food, more than anything you can imagine. If everybody practiced one sentence of the Messiah teaching, love your enemy, there's no poor will be sleeping in the street. For all the budget we spend over the army, we do not need it. All the money we spend for security and terrorism, we do not need it. All the killing we see done by Allah in the name of Allah, the name of Muhammad, and the filthy drug with Allah, we will not be worried about it. Just practice one sentence, Messiah. So I say to you, atheists, Muslims, whoever you are, bring me better than Jesus, and I will follow you. Christ is Lord. Islam is false. I mean to that, and we'll see you soon again.